And of course, as always, if you have a question, use the virtual raised hand function here on Zoom, and we will take your questions here in just a matter of moments. Well, as the countdown to the Thermal Club $1 Million Challenge continues, wanted to offer up an opportunity to hear from several stakeholders today. And joining us, Mark Miles, President and CEO of Penske Entertainment Corp. Mark, thank you for joining us today. Jay Fry, President of IndyCar, is also with us. Thanks, Jay. Don Cusick, this May will enter the Indy 500 with Ryan Reinbold and Cusick Motorsports, but also a Thermal Club member, firsthand knowledge of the facility. He joins us as well. Don, thank you. And from NBC Sports, longtime analyst and former IndyCar Series driver, Townsend Bell. Thank you all. Mark, let's go ahead and start with you. Ever since this nationally televised exhibition was announced last fall, certainly there's been a buzz about it. What does something like this mean for the series?
Well, I think we and IndyCar fans are really excited about getting out to California, getting to the desert, getting to this phenomenal facility at Thermal, and mixing it up and doing something a little bit different. You know, we had a opportunity, let's say, on the calendar in the spring, and Thermal had the kind of climate that seemed like it could work. We had a great experience. I think all the teams had a great experience there for our first visit last year. So it seemed like it just made sense. And the Rogers family has been phenomenal to commit and to work through how this can be a good thing for them and the members of the club, as well as IndyCar and especially our team. So I'm excited to see this format. I've never been to a heat race before or an all-star race of this type. And I think it's just going to be sensational to see what happens. And we appreciate NBC saying, listen, let's see what we can do with this. So for Peacock to be with us until Sunday, and then on Sunday to have the race live on NBC's terrific. Fans everywhere in this country will be able to see it.
And Jay, smooth segue from Mark here, talking about heat racing. First heat racing and really an IndyCar series exhibition in over a decade. This will be all-out sprint racing, as Mark alluded to. From the competition side, really, how did it all come together?
Well, it was obviously a huge effort by a lot of people. And Townsend was actually a big proponent of something like this. And he and I talked about this a couple of years ago. So if this goes bad, we're just going to blame it all on him. So we'll just put that out there right now. But like Mark mentioned, we always want to try something different. We had a great test at Thermal last year. NBC had a broadcast window, which created this opportunity. The Rogers family, the members, our teams have all embraced this challenge. It's going to be a little unique, but really it's very simple, right? So you got basically qualifying on Saturday afternoon, 2 groups, 12 minutes. It's going to be the same thing that we've done in the past, so there's nothing different there. And then the 2 heat races on Sunday morning. Basically 2 different groups, 2 different heat races, top 6 advance. Then we'll have a 12-car shootout or a 12-car 20-lap shootout with a halftime for a lot of money. And, you know, what's not to like? It's going to be great.
Yeah, countdown's on for sure. Jay, stand by. Don, great to see you again. Can you give us a little bit of the members' perspective? You're already out there, obviously. How excited are they to share the club with a nationally televised audience like this?
Yeah, I think we're all super excited. After last year, everybody got a little bit of a taste of what IndyCar racing is really about. And we're really happy to hear you guys are coming back, and the excitement's kind of just been building. And here we are. So yeah, we're ready for you. We kind of set the bar high last year. So, you know, let's see what happens this year.
And we can see over your shoulder, the weather should be good for us this weekend. So,
well, I'll tell you what, we drove in a rainstorm, the likes of which I haven't seen in a long time last night. But it's clear, it's sunny, it's 80 degrees. And, you know, according to the weatherman, that's the way it's going to be the rest of the week. So, yeah, get you guys out of that cold weather and into some of this nice sunshine.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Don. Stand by, Townsend. You know, as Jay alluded to, you know Thermal pretty well. I know you're excited about the weekend. How will NBC plan to translate the excitement of this format to the viewers and a nationally televised audience come Sunday afternoon and Sunday morning if you're in the West Coast?
Well, I think first it's important to clarify to Jay that failure is an orphan. Success has many fathers. So let's see where we stand on Monday. But
deal.
This is an exciting opportunity for IndyCar. I think it's an exciting opportunity for Thermal. From an NBC perspective, we had a few production calls this morning, and I think our goal is to keep it simple. In that, hey, we're racing IndyCars at a brand new, super exclusive facility, and what makes this, I think, format different and unique and exciting is big money on the line. No points can be lost. So it's a go for it kind of approach, I think, for the drivers. We'll have the 2 heat races live on Big NBC on Sunday morning, starting at I think it's 9:30 out on the West Coast, 12:30 Eastern. And for me, in between the heat races and the main event, we want to tell the story of this great facility. This is as a California native, I can tell you that new cool ideas are almost always answered with a no in California, and followed up with a whole bunch of reasons why something cannot happen. This is a great example of innovators and industry leaders coming together and doing something cool despite lots of people telling them no. I remember 14 years ago walking into a sales office in La Quinta before Thermal owned land. It was nothing more than an idea. And it's pretty awesome to see. And for those of you that are in the media that haven't been out to this facility, it is mind-blowing what you'll find there. Absolutely. It's what any car racing enthusiast would want if we achieved the success that a lot of the Thermal members that have achieved. So to me, this is a celebration of American innovation and can-do attitude. And I think IndyCar is doing the same with this exciting format. So we're looking forward to telling the story on NBC.
David, you're muted.
I'm new to Zoom. Sorry. Good call, Mark. That, as mentioned, that kind of helps set the stage. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. If you have a question, use the virtual raise hand button. We'll begin with Steve Wittich from Trackside Online. Hey, Steve.
Hey, guys. Good afternoon. Don, I like the looks of that weather behind you.
Pretty darn nice.
This one's for you. Obviously, we've talked a lot about the on-track side of this event, but there's going to be an off-track portion with your members. How important do you think an opportunity is for the IndyCar teams to possibly meet potential partners, people like yourself who want to get into racing?
I think it's super important. Last year, when we were putting together the deal with Dreyer and Reinbold, the spring practice was here. And so a lot of our members got to see it, kind of get immersed into it a little bit. And out of that, we picked up a half a dozen new sponsors. So I think it's super important. It lets them know that the teams are accessible, the drivers are accessible, and it's a pretty cool sport. So yeah, I think it's tremendously important that the members get to interact with the teams.
And maybe Jay and Mark go over a little bit more detail how the members are going to be involved with the teams.
Jay, you want to?
Sure. Yeah. So Steve, thanks, Steve. So there'll be a draw party on Thursday night. So the members will draw. There'll be a random draw based off. It'll line the cars up for qualifying, but I'll also pair the members with or embed the members with the driver. So that'll be their first chance to meet. And then for the weekend, they'll be embedded like a VIP with the team.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Steve, I just add to that more generally. Years ago at the 500, we brought, 12 or 14 working members of the media from a particular different broadcaster and embedded them with teams at the 500 that race weekend. It was phenomenal. We made more fans with them that weekend than we probably had with them for many years. So I think it's going to be a fabulous experience for the members, and we'll see how it pays dividends in the future.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Thanks, Steve. Nathan Brown, Indianapolis Star. Go ahead, Nathan.
Hi, guys. Thanks, everyone, for doing this afternoon. I have a couple questions for all of you. I will start with some racing-specific ones, maybe best fit for Jay. Jay, I know thinking back to last year's test, one of the reactions from a lot of drivers was that this track really ate up those tires and there was a high level of degradation. I know the car is somewhat different from what it was a year ago, and I know from what it sounds like, Firestone's tires that they might have made for this event may not be may not have been made with not having the hybrid in the car in mind. How do you anticipate the tire wear, given whatever compounds Firestone's going to be running, and how that can impact this event on Saturday and Sunday?
Well, again, it's a short heat kind of race, that type of thing. So the tire degradation should be less than what we saw there last year, like you mentioned about the hybrids. So the tires are a little different because of that. Instead of having more weight, we'll have less weight at 25 pounds less than we ran there last year at thermals. So degradation should be a little less than it was before.
Another reaction from drivers after testing there last year, when they were maybe thinking ahead to what a race might look like. Again, I know this was before this event and this format were formally announced, but a lot of them maybe struggled to think of where passing opportunities might be if we do happen to have, or if we did happen to have a race. Where do you envision, from looking at the track map, where the best passing opportunities might be, and how do you anticipate racing might be different, knowing this may be a track where there may not be an abundance of passing opportunities and just 10 laps per segment in order to get those passing opportunities in?
Well, I guess the way I look at this is we're dealing with some of the greatest race car drivers in the world. They're going for a whole bunch of money, so they'll certainly get it all figured out, where the best passing places are. It's funny, sometimes we anticipate or what we think is actually going to happen, a complete opposite happens from that. So I would envision something like that. They'll have a couple of days to test. We'll have the qualifying session. I'm sure they'll learn some things in the heat race, and then for the main, it'll be quite spectacular. Again, we're going to let them have push to pass. So push to pass will be on for the practice 4. It'll be on for qualifying. It'll be on for the heat races, and it'll be on for the main, feature race too. So they'll have 40 seconds. So if you're in the feature, there'll be 40 seconds in the first 10 laps. It'll reset for the next 10 laps too. So we're going to give them every opportunity, every tool at their disposal to create some great race.
Great. And my last racing specific question, Jay, what safety additions do you know of that the track has made over the last 12 months? I know that was another driver concern, that just kind of what the venue might be like when you actually had drivers racing. What things notably have changed from the last 12 months heading into this weekend?
Mainly just tire packs and runoffs, things like that. So they're basically an FIA grade 2 facility at this point. So the guys at Thermal have done a great job getting the facility ready. Tony Kottman's actually out there today, has been out there many times, and he's a FIA certified inspector. So the track will be in great shape. They've done everything we've asked them to do, and safety is obviously paramount in everything that we do.
Awesome. Mark, a question for you. How will you and Penske Entertainment officials at large determine whether this weekend was a success or not, and decide whether or not you would want to do something like this again in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we will have our ear to the ground with our key stakeholders. First of all, I think the Rogers have to like it. It has to be a good experience for them as the owners of the club. And I'm sure that the club members' attitudes will be reflected in Tim Rogers' attitude. So that's an important fundamental really thing. I think we'll see how fans react. And, because you do it all the time, that you'll have a good sense from social media on the fan reaction to the racing. There'll be some of our sponsors out there, teams, obviously, team owners will be out there. And we'll just take everybody's temperature after the fact. And listen, I just know the temperature was really in a good place after the test last year. People really enjoyed being there. Maybe raise some of the questions you asked about racing. I hope we've addressed them. and we expect to have a really good weekend that people enjoy.
Awesome. And my last question is for Don. Don, I know the way IndyCar had framed this event originally back when it was announced in September was that there would be some level of buy-in from members from a financial perspective that would then allow them to potentially reap some financial rewards in case the driver that they were paired with finished in the top 5 in the main event. We know that that's not happening anymore, and the way I understand it, sounded like there just maybe weren't enough members that were interested in participating in that. Can you give any sort of perspective on maybe where that disconnect was? I know you sound positive that there are a lot of members that are excited for this, but just would be interested to know what perspective you can share on that, on why that portion of this.
Sure. Sure. I think it's a combination of things, Nathan. But I think ultimately it just came down to, we've got a lot of amateur racers out here, not a lot of professional racers. And I think that people just weren't quite certain that they were at the level required to compete as would be expected for that kind of prize money. We're kind of talking through that as members and as a club. And, we'll see where that leads. But I think for this year, it might just have been a little bit overwhelming and they didn't quite know what to expect. And that's a part of it. I did want to comment on your question about where do you pass on this track. I can tell you I've been passed everywhere on this track. So there's lots of opportunities. That's for sure. And then as far as changes, we did make a few changes to some of the apexes and the turns and made it a little more friendly, I think, for the cars to race on. At least that's been the members' feedback so far.
Great. Awesome. Thanks everyone for this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Nathan. Mike Hembry from Auto Week. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you. Jay, I know next to nothing about this track. What kind of peak speeds are you anticipating there?
You want me to take that one?
Yeah, go ahead. Don. Is that for me? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
I down the main straightaway, which is on the north part of the track, I'm guessing you're going to get probably pretty close to 200 miles an hour in a GTD Porsche Cup car, a 991 Cup car. We're doing 160 at the end of that straightaway. So I'm guessing they're going to be upwards of 180 to 200 miles an hour.
And Jay, what about Nathan asked about safety modifications? Are there safer barriers, or are they needed there?
No, this being a road course, there are no safer barriers. There's ample runoffs. There's tire packs that are conveyed throughout the facility. So they've done everything that they needed to do to upgrade it to an FIA grade 2 facility. So, but no safer barriers, no.
Okay, and last thing for Mark, the timing of the race on Sunday and talking with NBC about that. You're going up against NCAA basketball. Was there a lot of discussion about when to start on Sunday?
I think it was pretty typical. We were hoping to get a broadcast network window. There's a lot going on in American sports this weekend and this time of year. So you kind of work for what you think it gives you your best opportunity, both from the point of view of the teams and the fans who will be there and the television audience. So, 12:30 Eastern, again, there's going to be a lot of competition for eyes in U.S. Viewership. The 12:30 Eastern is a pretty good time. We do things like the Indy 500 around that time and get a pretty big number.
And last thing, is this a ticketed event?
I can try that. We never thought of it as, let's see how many people we can sell tickets to be there for this. It's normally a private facility. It was meant to be a kind of high-end hospitality offering. So it's a little pricey. Pricing changed, but it's still kind of pricey. But we think, and I'm sure the Rogers think, that this is the right way to put it forward to get a good number, but a manageable number of fans to the track.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike. Let's go David Turner, then Jenna Fryer after David. David Turner, Racing World, go ahead.
Thanks very much, Dave. Well, first of all, congratulations to everyone on putting this event together. It's nice to see something happening outside of the box. I think IndyCar need to be congratulated on that. And Townsend, I love your phrase. It's very similar to one we have in New Zealand about the can nots rather than the can do. So it's fantastic. Jay, this is for you. I don't fully understand this, but you'll be able to help me out here. What happens to things like engine life for the teams in terms of the series? Does it impact them later on by running at a non-championship event?
No. So it's accounted for in the 2,500. They get 4 engines at 2,500 miles apiece. So this is accounted for within the full season. So it will not get them out of their allotted amount of miles.
So it won't effectively then doesn't impact on the championship scenarios at all in that sense, does it?
No, sir. No.
Oh, that's awesome. That makes the scenario of racing at thermal even more enticing for the teams then, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
That's great. Thanks very much for that. I really look forward to seeing this. I think Marcus Armstrong will be up there. There'll be no pressure on him. His father just won the New Zealand GT Series in the weekend, so Marcus can go for the big money on in the US this weekend as well. So all the very best to all of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
David, I'm shocked you chose a Kiwi to win. Love that. Let's hope you're doing well. Jenna Fryer, Associated Press. Go ahead, Jenna.
Thank you. I don't know who this question is for. I wanted to go back to Don mentioning that some of the members weren't comfortable racing, and I had never heard it explained that the members would actually be in the IndyCar race. So was that always the plan? I know they have their own race. I thought the buy-in was just a pairing that embedded them for the match.
I can take it if you'd like.
Go down.
Sure.
Yeah,
You
sure.
open.
Yeah, so I'm sorry if I confuse you on that, Jenna, but yeah, originally they were going to pair a member and they were going to drive a BMW M2 comp car in the race. And so the members would have their own race, and depending upon where they finish, they'd be paired with an IndyCar driver. And depending upon where they finish, they would combine those points. And then the members would also share in part of the prize package. But I think part of the problem became, were there enough M2s and were there enough experienced drivers in those M2 cars to actually make this happen? And I think that we just didn't quite have enough time to prepare either the cars or the people for 27 individual race car drivers and race cars to drive in. And so that kind of led to some of the issues. I think if we go forward and this works and everybody wants to, I think next year we might revisit that and see how that goes.
The members, though, still do have their own race this weekend.
The members are not going to race this weekend. We are going to try to put together an exhibition race featuring the Hendrick Motorsports track attack cars. Those are converted Gen 6 NASCARs, but that would just be a demonstration, kind of fun race for the members to participate in, and just be maybe a little 10-lap thing or something like that, something fun,
Okay.
just to fill in the space in between. We're not sure yet. We're going to kind of have to see how it goes, but that's what we're thinking.
Okay.
Just so they can get a feel of what it's actually like to be out there in a competitive environment with all the IndyCar teams around and things like that nature.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thanks, Jenna. Dan Jones, Dive Bomb Motorsports. Go ahead, Dan.
Thanks, Dave. Really looking forward to this weekend. So just first of all, for Jay, in the sort of all-star race, we've got that little halftime segment, a 10-minute segment. I just want to know sort of the thinking behind that. Is it so we can have closer racing the entire 20-lap race, or is there other reasons why you've decided to go for that halftime segment?
Yeah, there are a couple of different reasons. One is we want it to be a kind of a no holds barred race, right? So we're going to let them come in and take fuel. So we'll make sure when the cars lead for the first 10 laps, they'll be full of fuel. They come in at the halftime. We'll make sure that they're full of fuel. So there will be no fuel savings. It's, no holds barred. Go get them. push to pass, that type thing. So it should create a great racing environment. So that's really the biggest thing. So when they come in halftime, they can't they'll add fuel, they can adjust the wings, higher pressure, they take care of the driver, but no tires. We want to see the tires, the DEG, right? So the last 10 laps will be pretty interesting. Full of fuel with 10 lap tires on it and 40 seconds more push to pass. So go get them.
Sounds good. Looking forward to the racing now. Not sure it's best maybe Mark or Jay for this one, but obviously you're televising these sort of practice test sessions over the week. Is that to build up hype for the event? Is there any other significant reason why sort of 9 hours of practice is being televised compared to what we've kind of seen before historically?
No, so remember last year we did, excuse me, we did a 2-day open test there in February, right? So this is something that we always do in the preseason. So we just really moved that to this weekend. So the teams are still going to get their 2-day open test, right? So then at the end of the second day, we're going to do the qualifying piece, right, with the two groups, and then we'll have the race on Sunday. So again, we were fortunate to have an NBC window. We've had this idea about doing something different with an all-star kind of race. So it just all kind of fit into the weekend where we can do everything all at once. So that's what we're going to do.
So thank you. And just for Townend, sort of on a driver's perspective on this track, what sort of challenges might the drivers face compared to other weekends? Will the attitude change, racing for money, so the championship points? And is there sort of any other circuits that might compare to any other challenges that drivers might find similar to other tracks?
Yeah, I think Barber Motorsports Park comes to mind in that you have, quite a few corners on the circuit. Different with thermal is that there's some really good brake zones from high speed, inline straight brake zones that you don't have as much at Barber. The teams have all tested there. Not every driver in the series has tested there before. So I think that's going to be fun to watch some of the rookies get accustomed to the facility. And, at the end of the day, having no points to win means no points to lose. And I'm not sure in the current era we've ever seen what happens in that format. And that's the curiosity, I think, for all of us. None of us, as we sit here right now, can tell you with any certainty exactly how this will play out from a racing standpoint. But I also think that's the reason that so many are curious to watch along with me and see what the results are. You dangle, cold hard cash in front of just about anybody in a competitive environment. Whether that's Mike Tyson boxing again at age 58 or 27 IndyCar drivers. With no points to lose, I think we're going to see some interesting dynamics play out. IndyCar never disappoints. And I think back to your earlier question, all of the testing and all of the coverage we'll have on Peacock gives everybody watching from afar an opportunity to learn about the facility. It's a lot like Augusta and the Masters, right? I'll probably never have a chance to go to the Masters, but I get to tune in once a year and watch. Or I live close here to Riviera Country Club and the LA Open. These are really, really special places that this kind of event presents a unique opportunity for everyone around the world to get a peek into a pretty magic place. This is the kind of facility that I think Carl Fisher would build if he was alive today. It's a clean slate. It's a big vision. And I think most importantly, it's not an idea anymore. They are making it happen out there in spectacular fashion. So that's why you should watch. There's just a lot of curiosity to be satisfied.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Dave. Looking forward to the weekend.
Thanks for checking in, Dan. Let's go Ben Johnson, the paddock guy. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Dave. Hey, guys. Thanks very much for doing this today. Couple of questions for Mark and Jay. How big of an opportunity is this to showcase IndyCar as a product for maybe future teams or future commercial partners?
I guess my take would be we don't know exactly what will be harvested from it, but as Don said, others have said, it's a great connection to the members, which we'll see what comes of that. It's on national television, so we got a chance to get maybe some new eyes looking at IndyCar that might not have, absent the kind of unique format for this. And I think people want to see us innovate. So to do it in this way without the points on the line to us made sense, and we're excited to see what comes of it.
Excellent. And Jay, in terms of like attracting kind of potential new teams, do you think that if this happens next year, would you open the door up for maybe one-off entries?
That's a good question. Probably not, because again, when we do an open test, it's about the current full-time teams, right? They're required to come to open test. The open test is basically an IndyCar sanctioned event. So we want that to be kind of special and kind of unique. Obviously, having, last year was a record, having 27 full-time entries for an entire season. Well, those, we have 27 again this year, so it's back-to-back years of that. So that's a really good thing. We also have there's quite a bit of interest right now from some new teams to come in, which is great. So again, it's just kind of managing how that's all going to look for the future.
Excellent. Thanks very much. And Don, finally for yourself, as a member, like how excited are you to have kind of IndyCar and for you guys to showcase thermal for what it is, like with the track itself?
Oh, hi, Ben. Yeah, well, if I was a dog, my tail would be wagging really hard. I can tell you that. It's really fun. We've been looking forward to it pretty much from the day that IndyCar left last year in February until now. Yeah, it's a huge event, and it's super exciting, and it's fun to be here and see it all happen. And I'm looking forward to hosting people and showing them the track and being a part of this event. It's really a cool deal.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, guys, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. We've got time for one or two more. Let's go Joey Barnes from motorsport.com. Hey, Joey.
Hey, thanks, Dave. This question's probably best served for Mark. I know we still got to have the event, so we can't get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think that, like, just assuming that this goes exceptionally well for all parties involved, what do you see as maybe the potential that can come out of this from, could we have this race, would this race potentially become a points race? Could you see a scenario where this opens up beyond just made for TV? What things could be in play there?
Well, the scenario you hypothesized, we hope accurately, was that this is phenomenally successful this weekend. So hope that's the case. Kind of expect that to be the case. And then we'll just sit down and work through it. The last part of your question was sort of about the gate, the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And, we really have to do some thinking about that club wasn't built for, pick a number, 20,000 spectators at an event. What we do know is that the paddock, the teams and the drivers love it. And so I think there'll be interest in being there. But exactly in what form going forward, I think is something we have to analyze and discuss amongst ourselves and with the Rogers, and perhaps with input from the members after this weekend.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Joey. I think we've got time for one more. Adam Tropper from Motorsports Today. Adam, go ahead.
Yep. Thanks, Dave. Excuse me. I think this question is mainly for Mark, maybe Jay, whoever can really answer this. And you guys just touched upon it a little bit. But I think with the possible TV contract coming up year, a bunch of unknowns. Obviously, we didn't even have the race this weekend yet. But with the Thermal Club, everything, all the hype that's been surrounding it so far, would you say that it's a guarantee for the Thermal Club to come back on the IndyCar schedule in any capacity, points race exhibition 2025, or is this it?
I don't think we make hypothetical guarantees. So I pretty much said what I think about it, which is I think our competitors, our team owners love being there. I expect that'll be the case, maybe even more so this weekend. We'll get feedback from NBC, and we'll see what the fans think. But we appreciate the work that's been done to upgrade to F2 to the track itself and the posting of the resources to make this possible. I'll be real surprised if the drivers aren't happy to race for this money, as Townsend has said, and we'll see how all those ingredients come together after this weekend.
Yep, fair enough. I think I speak for everyone when I say we're all looking forward to seeing how it turns out. So thank you again.
Great. Great. Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have time for a couple more. Appreciate everybody joining us. Townsend, any closing thoughts here from friends at NBC?
I just look forward to having everybody tune in and watch. We will do our very best to satisfy all of your curiosities. If you're not there, you're watching from afar, don't be afraid to hit us up on Twitter. Let us know what you want to see. I'm gonna take the viewers around in between the heat races to some of these amazing. Don, how many facilities are there now in terms of private residences? It's got to be close to 100.
Yeah, we've got close to 100 houses. We've got a dozen or so commercial buildings that members own. And obviously, you're welcome to come by and look at mine. I just bought it. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I heard you're going to have the best party, Don.
There's going to be a party, and I can show you where the house is that's going to be.
Sorry, Tim.
Anyways, look forward to sharing it with you all. It's going to be a blast. In fact, my 2016 Indy 500 car is hiding in one of those complexes out there. So I'll be checking in on that. Make sure it's still there. I know Don tried to slide in for a few laps a couple weeks ago. So always got to keep an eye on the members
when you're ready now.
Love that.
That's awesome.
Anyways, be great.